we got a little bit of a tease as to what the budget will look like from Jim Chalmers earlier this hour, sitting there and throwing his best questions at him. Australian Financial Review political editor Phillip Coorey, thanks for your time. I didn't actually hear your question. Maybe that's a good point to jump off at. What stood out to you from Jim Chalmers? You had a few different things to say about RBA review, energy prices.
Yeah, I mean, there's no surprises. He's just basically giving us the lay of the land. Budget's in 3 weeks, no surprise. He's going to release the review into the Reserve Bank before that. No surprise. And that committee that they agreed to set up with David Pocock, to the Welfare Committee, so chaired by Jenny Macklin, they've got that report. And that'll have all these demands on welfare spending. And I think probably the bit out of that was Jim Chalmers saying, look, a lot of good ideas, but no money. So he's part of this ongoing thing he's been doing for a while now. Tom is just to try and play down expectation. We are terribly in debt and deficit. The growth forecasts are going to be weak in the budget. They're spending like crazy on stuff already. The question I asked was about the NDIS. That's now in the last 2 years.
There's a review of that too.
Well, yeah, but that's Bill Shorten will be at the press club tomorrow and maybe give us an insight into where he's headed on that. But that is now the second highest area of spending growth in the budget after debt on interest. Interest payments on debt. So, in 3 of the last 4 budgets, they've had to put another $28 billion into it just over 4 years.
Because all the growth is Commonwealth, because the states have a fixed amount, and the Commonwealth pick up the growth.
Yeah. And Scott Morrison and others were saying, Linda Reynolds, who was the minister, was saying publicly that this is now unsustainable unless we do something about it, and privately they're now saying that inside the government. They're not saying it publicly yet. So it's basically just the Treasurer just trying to sort of corral all these themes and just play down expectations that it's going to be pretty tight.
So I'll have this big statement on a whole lot of cohorts that are doing it really tough, but not much, if anything. No, for now. I mean, there can be things at the side.
There'll be the energy price relief. Now, if your viewers might remember late last year when they agreed to do the caps on gas and coal and stuff, that they said there'd be for small businesses and low and middle income households, there'll be a one-off sort of discount on your power bill, and that'll be done half and half with the state. So you'll learn on budget day how much you'll get for that.
And they want to make that a discount to make it less inflationary.
Yeah, rather than just give you money, you might go and buy licorice all sorts with it or something and blow up the economy. And don't forget also they did a deal with the Greens at the time for a significant investment into helping low-income households move from gas to electrical appliances. So I suspect there'll be all part of that as a big cost of living package. But, look, it's been responsible. He's basically saying, look, everyone wants everything, but we can only do so much. And you're just going to, what's coming for Christmas, but there's not going to be anything.
Well, what was interesting about that, because he said this will be a centrepiece. I mean, usually you have
the centrepiece, cost of living centrepiece,
And that actually in itself is interesting because we already knew it was coming.
Yeah, so, that's what I mean. You know what you're getting for Christmas. Don't expect a sneaky.
And that's the ultimate of sort of hosing down speculation, isn't it?
Yeah,
the biggest thing there is something that will always already be there. Did you take it? I thought it was interesting. He was saying it's all about the context of inflation in particular, that you can't, add to that. Did you take it that was his bigger concern rather than budget repair?
Well, both. I think both. I mean, you can't keep borrowing more money to give to people for stuff, and then because that adds to the debt, and then at the same time it might contribute to inflation. They're both competing pressures, so it's the fine balance, as he said. So,
but I guess the question for me, why I find that interesting, is the inflationary pressures happening right now. That will dissipate. Will the discipline hold? For the sake of the budget?
Oh, it has to, Tom. I mean, inflation has stopped going up, but it's still very high, and it's going to remain stubbornly high. I don't think there's anyone going to run out down the Coles and say, gee, look how cheap everything is all of a sudden. Stuff is still really expensive.
And all it does is level off, right?
Yeah, we've levelled it off. We've got to get it down still. So, it's way too early to cry victory on inflation.
All right. And RBA review, we've sort of got some...
Sounds like there's a bit in it.
51 recommendations.
51 reviews, but the fact that...
Briefing everyone.
The fact that Treasurer's going to brief the crossbenchers and is saying nice things about Angus Taylor, which he never does otherwise. They're going to need support for some legislative changes.
It means there's some big stuff in there.
There's some changes to the makeup of the board and all sorts of things, and it's going to require the goodwill of the Parliament. And because it is the RBA and it's an important institution, it's only proper that you get full support for this. You don't want to make this a contentious issue.
We'll let you hit the phones and figure out what the 51 are. Maybe.
Okay.
No pressure.
I was going to watch you, see what you came up with.
See what we can do. Phil Coorey, thank you.
See you, mate.